Hi everybody, welcome to Commander Critic. Today's video, I want to talk a little bit more about the Game Changer list for Commander. And I wanted to mention a few cards you could use that are not quite as powerful as the cards on the Game Changer list, but you can use them in your deck to keep your deck at a lower tier. They do sort of similar things, but they're not as powerful. Get right into it, I wanted to talk about Teferi's Protection, and a card that I think is still useful, not quite, like I said, not quite as powerful, is Clever Concealment. You can, with the Convoke ability, you can actually end up casting it for free, and it phases out all your non-land permanents. It doesn't protect you from any damage or anything like that, so it's not quite as protecting as Teferi's Protection does. But you can do it at instant speed, and it can save you from a board wipe or a Cyclonic Rift or something like that. So I think it's a fine alternative, and it'll make one less Game Changer in your deck that does a similar thing. The next one I want to talk about is Demonic Tutor. Now I know it's a 2-mana sorcery that does tutor and brings something right to your hand. An alternative, it's even though it is a tutor, and you gotta keep track of how many tutors you're running in your deck, because that also affects the tier of your deck. But Grim Tutor, it's a 2 and 1 cost sorcery that you can find a card from your deck, put it in your hand, and you lose 3 life. Now it's comparable to Demonic Tutor. It's not on the Game Changer list, at least not as of yet. It does the same thing as Demonic Tutor, it's just more of a downside because it costs more and you do have to pay 3 life, but I think it's a fine alternative, and it will prevent your deck maybe from going from a tier 2 to a 3 or a tier 3 to a 4. Third one I want to talk about is Rhystic Study. Is the Game Changer that you get to draw cards when your opponents cast spells, unless they pay a mana cost. An alternative that I run is Mystic Remora. It is a 1 blue, so you can get it out on your first turn, although sometimes having that out on turn 1 may not be beneficial, because it only comes into effect if an opponent casts a non-creature spell. However, if they do, they have to pay 4 mana, or you get to draw a card. And it does have a cumulative upkeep, so you have to pay attention to that. But it is sort of a good replacement for Rhystic Study, and it does keep getting you cards. People aren't going to want to pay the 4 mana for that, so you'll get a few cards on it if you play it at the right time. So I think it's a fine change and a fine card you can use instead. Now the last one I want to talk about is Gaea's Cradle. This thing is, first of all, money-wise, it's expensive. Second of all, it gives you mana equal to the amount of creatures you control, which is really powerful. But I find a fair alternative, and this is a card I think that they should reprint, is Nykthos, where you tap it and you get mana equal to your devotion to that color. So this card can be used in any deck, and it's a lot less expensive. It is kind of pricey, but it's less expensive than Gaea's Cradle, and it can work, like I said, in any deck. You don't have hints. It can just be just your generic deck, and it adds mana equal to the devotion, which could give you quite a bit of mana. So I think that it's a really good replacement for Gaea's Cradle, and it'll take you off of that extra tier. So anyways, those are just some cards I think would be fine to play instead of those powerful Game Changers. I'm sure there are plenty of other ones out there, so please in the comments let me know which ones you would use, or if you have any better ideas for alternative cards. I think every time they add cards to the Game Changer list, it's going to push everybody's decks to a higher tier, and this is a way to kind of keep it on a same level. But those are my opinions. Those are my ideas for cards. But let me know what you think in the comments. And as always, if you like the content, please subscribe, and you'll be notified when I post new content. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and until next time.